Hey guys, gamers in the zone. I wanted to take a moment to reflect on a few things. For those of you who aren't aware, my YouTube channel has just hit its 10th anniversary, meaning that throughout the past 10 years, I've been making content for YouTube. I must say, it feels nice to know that I've gotten this far. And I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on how far my channel has come compared to the early days that I started up the channel. Because it's been through, I'd say maybe not the biggest changes, but with the changes it has had, I'd say I'm happy where I am now. For something that just started out with me, maybe started out with me wanting to be like some content creators I looked up to back in the day, evolving into something that I think, regardless of where it goes from here, that I can be proud of. I'd say I'm quite satisfied. As a starting point to reflect, I just want to think about some of the changes the image of the channel has started out as. Because I think, like, when I first started up the channel, I initially started out with... Some of you might remember that this was originally my channel icon. And then back in the day, this used to be my background channel art. Back when I first had one. I think that was because back in the early days of my channel, this was when I was still really into Minecraft, as you can see. Back in like some of my very first videos. Wow, this was back also when my channel name used to be called Cheryl Gamer. That also brings back memories. Yeah, I think I went with that name because I couldn't think of a very good name at the time until I went with what's currently my channel name, The Gamer of Gamers. As some of you might remember, well, most of you probably don't, but actually I didn't start out on this channel when it came to YouTube videos. My first ever appearance on YouTube actually was on my buddy the Jedi Women Gamers channel, back on, like, I think his original channel before it kind of got deleted. Bit of a long story there, but nonetheless, that was kind of where I started out as. I had the interest in making YouTube videos, but never got the chance to properly start up the channel, I think, at the time. Because I think I first actually started recording videos once the family computer had been upgraded to Windows 10, kind of against our will. In which I had found out Windows 10 had a built-in recording feature, which was where I started recording videos of some of the games we had on that computer, and that's kind of where the channel got started. Before I go over the content I make, I also want to show some other things that have evolved. So while this might have been my original channel icon, drawn by my sister, by the way, so very nice just how much my own sister has supported the channel up to this point with all the drawings she's done for me. Because as you know, nowadays my current channel icon is this, which was also drawn by my sister. You compare the two between each other, it really also shows how much my sister's drawing has improved compared to the early days of when I used to have this channel icon. Really shows how much she's improved since then. And she was also the one that created the current logo for the channel. Really well made in it. Now, my channel art might have started out as this, just a simple temporary channel art. Yeah, I couldn't find the actual channel art, so I just went with a screenshot of some place I could find it. And then eventually, because I think there was a point where I started out with that, and what I wanted to do, because back in the early days when I was doing just Minecraft videos, I wanted my channel art to be like, of like the big the big creation of my home, which I was interested in making a big castle, starting up like a huge empire in my Minecraft world. Unfortunately, I never got to doing that. I guess I just wasn't big enough into the building aspect of Minecraft to really reach that point. So most of the time my logo was this, rather than the house I had, which was a basic wooden house. Not anything all that impressive. Which eventually, I think I found a site to make this channel art, which I had for a while. It was a fairly basic channel art, but it was... I mean, it was something I was able to make that put a bit more personality into the channel instead of the boring temporary channel art that was this. And then we had the channel art that I currently use, this one, which I made back in college, which I managed to find a decent, little pixel font, gave it a decent little outline, and I had a hard time figuring out what would make a good background for this, as I was relying off, like, free image sites. I found this decent arcade-looking one, which I guess looked decent at the time. Who knows, maybe I would have rather gone with something else, but I guess within the deadline of the project, that's the best I could come up with. A decent logo. I do have some ideas for another channel art, but again, I don't want to push my sister too far to be making stuff for the channel, especially since it's not really much of a commission most of the time. Regardless, I am very much thankful for all that my sister has drawn for me on this channel with the channel icon. So with that, I'm very much thankful for her for making all of this. But yeah, now to reflect on all the content I've made over the years. As mentioned before, I initially started out with an interest in Minecraft content because, while it might have been a bit late, I very much looked up to some Minecraft YouTubers at the time. I mean, looking at the reputation of Minecraft YouTubers nowadays, I guess we were just very misguided. We didn't know any better. We did look up to them, though, and it inspired us to make our own Minecraft content, didn't it? But yeah, oh yeah, then I started doing Spyro, which this was probably my first playthrough that I did just simply aiming a camera at a TV screen. So I think what I remember happening here was, I think something happened that for some odd reason the built-in recording program in Windows 10 was not working. So I couldn't record any videos, and there got to be a point that I ran out of videos to upload. So then, as someone that at the time wanted to upload at a steady rate to see if it would get me somewhere on the internet, I ended up, in a desperate attempt to get something out there, just did some low-quality camera recordings, and I attempted to play some Spyro. Which I don't think I ever finished this original playthrough of Spyro, because I think at the time I was still playing on the PS1 we had, which had a very falling apart power cord, where it's like if you moved it in the slightest, it would fail to provide power to the system. So there was a point where I think I failed to save my progress and eventually just ended up canceling this playthrough, especially once I finally got the recording program to start working again so I could go back to playing games. And then there was Minecraft, and then to do a bit more, there was my Undertale collab with Jedi Hoyman Gamer, where basically me and him, I wanted to introduce him to the game, and so I decided why not make it a playthrough on the channel. So basically what I did was, while I'd be the one controlling the character, for various actions with interacting with things, avoiding enemy projectiles. The guy with the skill, he'd be the one making the choices on, going about stuff like, battles and maybe other various choices that would lead to, how he'd experience the game, which for the first run, I think was mostly just him pretty much killing everything we've encountered. Maybe there was one or two enemies somewhere here and there that we spared. I think it was like an enemy I didn't have in me to spare. I forget who it was. I think it was maybe like Lesser Dog. But yeah, that was the first playthrough. Oh yeah, Terraria. That was a fun playthrough. Okay, still a bit more Spyro play. I know I think there was a point. It was somewhere in the Magic Crafters world that I eventually canceled the playthrough. Still a bit more Minecraft here. This one, I guess, is where I found diamonds. Oh yeah, I tried playing a game that Jedi liked at the time, Stick Wars, back in the classic days of Flash, while it still existed. So yeah, quite a bit there. And oh, I remember this. This was still back when I went to the high school gamers club, and I think that was from me and my buddy Jedi doing 2 players in Super Mario Bros. 3, the All Stars edition. And I don't think there was a point where we couldn't be able to play the game together anymore, because I think lunch times were separated between the first, I think they were separated between 9th and 10th graders and 11th and 12th graders on in terms of lunch times, because these gamers club meetings were during lunchtime, which was not a very good time to have these meetings, because I'd be focusing more of my time eating rather than actually getting to play any games. Nonetheless, we did manage to make it to the end of Super Mario Bros. 3, and specifically for him, I recorded myself defeating Bowser at the end. That was a pretty nice moment. That was also my first time beating Super Mario Bros. 3. And then, oh yeah, this was when I started up my playthrough of Splatoon. Because, yeah, this was back when I was really into Splatoon. Normally, I'm not that big into online games, but Splatoon at the time was the major exception. I mean, unfortunately, like most online games, there was inevitably a point where I got bored of it. Because I think that was around, late into the lifespan of Splatoon 2 that I lost interest in the franchise. I did play maybe a decent amount of Splatoon 3 when it released, but my interest in that game really did not last long. Oh yeah, this is when we first attempted the 200cc run of Mario Kart 8, the original Mario Kart 8. Oh yeah, Super Mario Maker. I remember me and Jedi playing a bit of this. I don't think we recorded too much of this, though, from what I remember. I guess we just didn't have that high of an interest in making levels, or I think it was also more just that I wanted to avoid some of the online levels, because some of them had some inappropriate Miiverse posts. And considering the fact that even back in the early days of the channel, I was really wanting to steer clear of anything involving swearing or inappropriate behavior on the channel. Wow, this is what I looked like back in the day. Look at that. By the way, I still have that green jacket. Still fits me pretty well. Who knows? Maybe I should think about getting a bigger jacket one of these days. Might not be a bad idea. A little updated green jacket. If I can think of a good place that has a nice green zip hoodie that, has the kind of green that I like. So yeah, I remember having a good time with Splatoon. But yeah, definitely back. You see, back in the early days, it wasn't the best quality recordings because most of the time for like console games, this was before I got my Elgato capture card. That it was basically just aiming a camera at the screen, and for the PC games, I was just using the built-in recording program. Which, by the way, I didn't know how to adjust things with recordings, unlike with OBS here that I use nowadays. So I didn't know how to adjust audio levels, so for pretty much all the games I had recorded during this time, pretty much you could barely hear my voice at all over the game audio. Also, because of how it worked, there was also an issue where whenever a game would close or something, I wouldn't be able to. The recording would stop with the game that I turned off. So that was a bit of an issue. But yeah, I remember getting a decent ways into Terraria, and I forget what exactly happened that I stopped my original playthrough of Terraria. Oh yeah, and then the Switch unboxing, because that was, wow, 9 years ago. And soon to be 10 years that I originally got my Nintendo Switch. Wow. To think that I've had my Nintendo Switch for that long. I mean, well, then again, this is the original Switch. What I have nowadays is currently the OLED model, which I think came out at least a couple years later. But I mean, I think my sister still has our original Switch. It's just that it's much better to play with the OLED model. Yeah, I think with the 200cc run, I don't think we finished it on my channel, from what I remember. Because I think what happened was there was a point where... Oh, no, wait. We did do the entire 200cc run. Hang on. Huh. Okay, Mushroom Cup. And Star Cup. Okay, yeah, Flower Cup. I think we were just, at this time, we were just simply satisfied getting a trophy. I don't think we went for, like, the Gold Cup or Triple Star. I think maybe we eventually ended up going for that on a separate channel that I think there might have been an announcement for. Oh, yeah, this was back when I did the first anniversary of the channel, when I basically did some block party on what used to be my favorite Minecraft minigame server. I didn't get to have the anniversary go on as long as I wanted it to, though, because I think there ended up being a tornado drill. Oh, no, not a drill. Like a tornado. My area was under a tornado watch, basically. Had a tornado warning that I had to turn things off because the family had to head into the basement. And, here it was. So it was around this point, 8 years ago, that I basically made a separate channel specifically for collabs for me and Jedi Hoyman Gamer here. That went through a variety of names, but the initial name, and what I wanted it to be the name for most of its lifespan, the Jedi Gamer Bros. So basically, that channel was reserved specifically for collab videos that we did together. I don't know why entirely what led to me ending that channel. I think it was, at the time, it was mainly just that I was either getting tired of it, or just all the videos. I think it was just that the whole grind of all the videos he was wanting to upload was getting to me, because with the fact that I didn't have the fastest upload speed at the time, I think just added up to videos taking forever to upload. And because I was recording it off my phone, I had a hard time getting things to work properly, and I don't know if it was... I guess it was mainly just the grind of all the videos. of having to manage two channels that just was getting to be a bit too much for me. Especially with some of the directions that channel went in. With some of the directions Jedi went in with his channel at the time. Now, don't worry, guys. Him and me are still good friends. But yeah, I would consider this where the era of the channel where we'd always be playing games together. Because yeah, we used to meet up together to play games pretty often, and I don't know if it was also just at the time where it was the starting point of where me playing games with him just maybe started to feel like a bit of a grind. I don't know. I'd have to maybe reflect on it a bit more. But I'm not going to reflect on it too much here, as that's something I'd be wanting to reflect on a bit more in private, maybe with him. But yeah, oh yeah, and then this is around when I got to Splatoon 2, which, why no uploads? Not sure if I was just busy with school at the time when I made that update. I'm certain if I were to watch this, I'd probably remember. But I think, because I remember it was around Splatoon 2 here that my sister encouraged me to stop recording videos with my phone camera. As considering that this was still the era of the channel where I was trying to, you know, get somewhere with it, thinking I could reach a point where I could monetize my content. I was still at a... I think she was encouraging me to go in a more professional direction by not recording with a phone camera and maybe actually get a capture card. Which did encourage me to do that. I still, as you can see here, eventually finished that first playthrough of Undertale with Jedi. Well, his first playthrough. I've technically played the game plenty of times before myself. And then I think it was, oh yeah, recording test. So this, I think, was around when I first started to get... Because I think this was around when I stopped recording videos off the family PC and actually started using my gaming computer, which is, by the way, the computer I still use to this day. Like, this was a gaming PC that me and a friend of my sister's put together with, like, some cheap parts we found online. That I was able, for a pretty good price, able to put together that's been able to run some pretty good games. And I know nowadays games like Elden Ring push it to its limits. But I mean, considering that it's been lasting me like over 8 years now, that's quite the feat that this PC has lasted me this long. But yeah, I started some recording. Like, as you can see here, I tried doing a proper playthrough of Stick War. Instead of, you know, the camera recording, now I was recording it off OBS. And then this is because I was still in that era of trying to find out what I wanted to do with the channel. I attempted to play Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. The one time I played a horror game on this channel, and yeah, I got jump scared once, and I pretty much lost my will to play the game. Like, I got one ending from it, which was the insane ending. I think I did also get the certificate of Lore Master, mainly because I already knew where to find them. But yeah, the horror elements of this game, I pretty much tried to avoid as much as possible. But I didn't expect anything with any sense of liability had a chance of bringing Lefty into the pizzeria. So I got jump scared by Lefty, and pretty much when I did, like, any further attempts to keep playing, it just, like most of the time when I play horror games, I just lose my will to keep playing. So I think this was my realization that horror games are really not for me. Man, 2018, wow, look at all that hair. Yeah, I mean, I had quite a bit of hair a few days ago, but as you can see, I recently got a haircut. Oh, I remember that chair as well. I wonder what happened to that chair. But yeah, I think that, I forget exactly when in high school, but yeah, there was a point where my family has always preferred having my hair short, and I mean, the hair definitely looks more professional, but I think this was also around when I was, like, really wanting my hair to grow out a bit more. I thought it looked a bit nicer. And then, oh yeah, as you can see, once again, I was trying to do what I believed was popular at the time. Because this was around when Fortnite was popular. Wow, like, because this was like the early days of Fortnite. Again, back when it was popular. With like this, oh yeah, around Season 4. That was like when the meteor struck, I believe. I still remember the days of like, when people were making a big deal out of noticing the meteor in the sky and it likely going to hit somewhere. Because I remember people were thinking it was going to hit Tilted Towers, but then it hit an area next to Tilted Towers. Was never good at Fortnite, though. I think the only time I won a solo game was when I was hiding from all the other players, and the 2 other remaining alive players took each other out, causing me to win by default. But yeah, this was still that era when I was still trying to find myself and just playing what was popular. And oh yeah, we're now entering what I feel like is the most depressing years of the channel, which was when I did the Skyrim playthrough, because I was constantly on the in-between on like how I wanted to go about Skyrim, because when I first got the special edition off Steam, my sister had encouraged me to install a couple mods for the game. Like, I think some of it was like for unused content that was still in the files. One was like an unofficial patch and some other stuff. Like, I guess she was trying to get me to, try out some mods when I was already so used to playing vanilla Skyrim on like, when I played it on the Xbox 360, which was when I first got to play Skyrim. But I think in terms of for the channel, I was still unsure if it felt right, and in terms of playing the game modded, especially when I ended up learning the hard way that you don't get any achievements for the game when it's modded. So a part of me felt like it was just very wrong of me to play it modded when I wasn't that big into modding my games at the time. And yeah, this was just a year where I just wasn't satisfied with this playthrough. Especially with the way I've been going about sessions. This is when my videos started to get pretty long, reaching the hour mark. And they were hardly raking in any views at all. Like, some of these only have a couple of views, and there was even one video that I wouldn't be surprised if there's still an episode in here where I didn't get any views at all. Some of them seems to have gotten some supply of views, but for the most part, this was, I remember, a pretty disappointing era for the channel. It got to the point that despite still having plenty of videos available stored up, there's a point where I just got tired of uploading videos to the point that I ended up canceling this playthrough, despite having the remaining videos to finish this playthrough of the game. I think just looking back on it, this was just a playthrough I was not very satisfied with. I guess I was just kind of disappointed the length of these videos, and knew that they wouldn't rake in that many views, and the current, even to this day, the current lack of views, like this one only even has 1 view, just shows how I was kind of ready to know this just wasn't going to work with the length I was recording these videos. And then we get to the era where I get to the playthroughs that essentially saved the channel, the Toho era. Oh yeah, that's right. I also wanted to show off how long I'd been live streaming for. Hang on. If I can maybe quickly open up a separate tab here, because I know this was also around the era where I started getting into live streaming. I'm not entirely sure exactly when I started live streaming, but we're about at that. This is also around the point where I started getting into live streaming. And then we get to the franchise that I consider to this day to be what saved the channel, the Toho franchise. Or as most people like to call it, Toho Project. Where I started with the 7th game. I think I was originally wanting to go with the 6th game, as that was the first classic era game. Although I think what happened was that because at the time there weren't a lot of patches that made the game very compatible with Windows 10, I just had so much trouble getting it to work, especially with all the security updates that Windows 10 was getting that kept not letting the game work. Like, I had to uninstall so many security updates to make sure Toho 6 would work for the channel. As there was eventually a point down here where I got Toho 6 to work, but back then, Toho 7 was the first game I played for the channel, and where I started getting members of the Toho community coming in and commenting on my stuff. And, it's ultimately how... I don't think in my first couple Toho games is where I eventually met Freezing Time, because I think it was eventually around, Toho, maybe 8 or 10, that Freezing Time ended up finding me and giving me, little lore tidbits, as well as tips on how to do better. But yeah, this is what I consider to be the turning point where I was starting to become proud of what the channel had become. I had stuck to it and eventually made some really good friends. And then, of course, Deltarune came along, and to this day, I still very much enjoyed playing Deltarune, and I know there were a few issues with recording that I think for at least one of these episodes, I kept having to do multiple takes. And then, of course, the Spyro Reignited trilogy. And this one I did kind of go back to cam recording, because I think I was having to play the game at my brother's place, because I didn't have a PS4, he does. So that was how I was able to play this game, was using my siblings' games to play them. And oh yeah, I also did Heroes in Another Dimension. That mode in Kirby Star Allies. I will say, looking back on it, I wasn't that big into that mode. It was decent for what it was, but a lot of people seem to agree that was kind of a too little, too late thing to add into Kirby Star Allies. But yeah, this is what I consider to be my first proper full playthrough of all the Spyro games. Was my first time playing the Reignited trilogy. And we'll get back to Spyro later, you'll see. But yeah, this is where I was starting to really be happy where the channel was at the time. And eventually, yeah, I know a while back I did a test stream, but I wasn't that big into live streaming just yet on the channel. But I remember it was around this point when I was doing the playthrough of Smash Bros. Ultimate's World of Light mode, that eventually there was a point where I think Tetris 99 came out, and I was interested in playing that game. And oh yeah, also some Splatfests, as you can see. So Tetris 99 and various Splatfests I was attending in Splatoon 2 was when I eventually started getting into live streaming on the channel. In which, then there was the main thing that really got me into live streaming, the Toho Extra stages. Because back when I initially first tried to stream Toho, most of the time I was just doing the regular game and trying to go for at least one good ending. But since I was still fairly new to the franchise, it was still kind of difficult for me to really get into it. Eventually I was able to keep at it and get an ending. But I think for Toho, I think I was satisfied simply getting one good ending at the time. Of course, nowadays, I'm usually not satisfied until I get all the good endings with every character and shot type they have, as I have had for a long time on the channel. I know I did eventually return to Toho 6, though, to get the other endings. But yeah, there was a bit of an attempt at the extra stage, but I knew a regular video wasn't going to be enough to do that, which I know that eventually is what led me to doing the live streams, because I knew I wanted something to give myself some time to dedicate some time towards a hard challenge, which is what led to me taking on these extra stages, which eventually was what started the what I liked to call Friday streaming at the time, where basically I always enjoyed the free time I got on Fridays after school, so I always liked dedicating that time to do an entire live stream. And so I always had this motto of the live stream doesn't, Friday streaming doesn't end until Friday ends. So some of these streams, most of these streams back in the day, I'd basically be streaming all the way till midnight, because this is also back when I was very much a late night person. I know in some ways I still might be a little bit of a late night person, but my sleep schedule's been kind of all over the place ever since I started this very early morning job. So yeah, live streaming was kind of a once a week thing back in the day, where I'd mainly focus it towards doing some extra stages. But yeah, still plenty of other games I enjoyed doing for the channel. Most of this era was just Toho, Smash World of Light, and of course Spyro Reignited. Nonetheless, these were some great moments back when I was still doing regular Let's Play videos on the channel. I'm not sure if I'd call it Let's Play, just like more like regular playthrough kind of content, considering what some people consider Let's Play content. And then, of course, there was my return to Minecraft roughly 6 years ago, and another attempt at Terraria, which similar to this, because I think this was the playthrough of Minecraft that I don't think I properly finished it until I just started live streaming it, and I remember eventually getting all the way to defeating the Ender Dragon and coming out victorious. Terraria, I think to this day I never properly finished Terraria. I think there was just some odd lag I was getting at one point in the game, and I think that just kind of discouraged me from finishing the game. And then, this was another fun series I did on the channel. My hard mode run of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Because I think this was before I had such a large collection of games that I got off the Steam Summer Sale. So it made it pretty easy to dedicate a lot of time towards one or a couple of specific games. You know, it was easy to be dedicated on a specific game, because I didn't have such a large collection of games back then and had all the time to do so. So I remember I dedicated quite a bit of time towards the hard mode run of Breath of the Wild that eventually I was able to beat it. Like you see here, it wasn't until around this point 6 years ago that I actually started building up a bit of a collection of games off from the Steam Summer Sale. Yeah, and then plenty of other good games. Oh yeah, this was the point where I went to college. And college, I mean, it had a bit of an effect on the channel because I mainly wanted to avoid, playing games or doing a lot of distracting stuff while I was in college. This is still when I was kind of the university days. It was not that great, and because I know my first 2 years at university, I wanted to, as much as possible, avoid playing games or trying to be distracted by anything while I was in college. Looking at it nowadays, I do wonder how different things would have been if I just went all out with bringing my PC with me to college and just keeping at it with content creation. I still don't know, but nonetheless, I did still get opportunities to to make videos during the summertime, and do some good old Friday streaming. But there obviously wasn't a lot of content creation during this time, because there was eventually a point where by my third year of college, with how depressing things were getting, and the fact that I was still finding ways to procrastinate despite my best efforts to avoid anything distracting, there was a point where I just gave up deep down and just brought my PC with me to campus during my last year at the university. And I don't think that was the reason. There was a lot of stuff that just added up to university not working out for me back then. But yeah, I did it. Despite the struggles there, I did very much enjoy the games I was playing here. I see there was another go at Minecraft. And still some other efforts to play some Terraria. Oh yeah, I remember this. Because I also remember... this was when I was... it was during my hard mode run of Breath of the Wild that I ended up meeting Alpuka. In which... it was thanks to his help, after showing me some cool glitches in Breath of the Wild, that he helped me to make my Discord server, which I still have up and running to this day. Although nowadays it's kind of closed from the public to prevent trolls from having easy access. I've sort of made it a bit more private to where only those I personally invite can be on the server. People I trust. But yeah, still plenty of decent games on the channel. Shovel Knight King of Cards. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Shovel Knight fan, but I was quite excited for this final mode to be added to Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. And then this is around when I started getting into the Metroid franchise. And I attempted to go all out with understanding the story of Metroid, because I actually, before this first playthrough of the original NES Metroid, attempted to look up the manga for Metroid. There was like a manga going into like Samus's backstory and what eventually leads up to the events of the first game. Oh yeah, I think with where we are, this is also around when VTubing was starting to get popular. So I think there was a point during like a few of my live streams around this time, like my Breath of the Wild hard mode streams, where I actually, once VTubing became mainstream, I think I actually remember attempting a bit of VTubing myself, and well, unfortunately, there was a point where I had to format my hard drive that I don't have the model anymore. I do have here an image of a VTuber model I attempted to make looked like back in the day, because I had some ideas on some directions I could go if I became a VTuber, although I think there wasn't much of any comments about it, and there was one live stream where I tried having this, and there was mostly just someone complaining about it at the time that I eventually gave up on VTubing and just went back to regular webcam streaming. I'm not sure when I first got this webcam. I just had this for quite a few years. But man, so many other games here. Oh yeah, there was one summer after university where I did some Super Mario Sunshine. It was fun finally getting to play that game, because I never really got a proper opportunity to do a full playthrough of this game, because back as a kid, the most I ever got to play with this was either when I had a play date with a friend who had the game, in which I didn't really get that far, or when I got to play like a demo of the game, had some of the GameCube machines that my local McDonald's used to have. Back in the day when McDonald's used to have entire game consoles you could play on in the play area. That's an area everyone likes to reflect on. Oh yeah, here's the VTuber model. So these were some of the live streams I attempted with the VTuber model, and then as you can see, I just ended up going back to regular webcam streaming when, yeah, I was just getting comments from people saying they didn't like it. So yeah, this is when I started to get really into the Metroid franchise. And oh yeah, I attempted to do a playthrough of Xenoblade Chronicles. Once again, though, I think similar to Skyrim, I didn't really like how I was going about it. Because for the videos I was wanting to do, I mainly wanted to prioritize the main story content. The issue, though, is that I ended up having to spend a ton of time offline doing some grinding just to make sure. I had to do a ton of grinding just to make sure that, I'd be ready for the next big recording where I make more story progress. And there were just some instances where the grinding was very tedious because the side quests, they were not interesting at all. Like, it was very obvious that the whole purpose of all these side quests was just so I could get some more XP to get stronger. And it just got very tedious that I ended up drawing the conclusion that I did not like Xenoblade Chronicles, which was a real shame because I think this is when I tried taking a deal that Nintendo had at the time where you could redeem 2 vouchers, get 2 vouchers, save a bit of money, use one to buy it and get an entire first-party game for free, and another one for another first-party game for free. I used one on Xenoblade Chronicles, and I was going to decide that if I liked this game, I'd use the other one to get Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I never got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I didn't like the gameplay of Xenoblade Chronicles. I think that's when I sort of realized that when it comes to RPG games, I usually prefer the more traditional turn-based stuff where, you can actually carefully make the choices of what each of your party members do. And get to decide, careful strategizing on how you manage your turns. I just like that aspect of RPGs, that this more action-oriented RPG where you just had little to no control over your characters most of the fight. It just wasn't that enjoyable for me, as it really made it feel like the only thing I could do to increase my chances of winning a battle was just simply taking the time to grind it out with the XP, which again was very tedious, that by the time I got to around like Galahad Fortress, I just got tired of it and ended up canceling this playthrough entirely. Like, to this day, I still haven't finished that game, and I have no interest in returning to that game. But yeah, as for that other voucher, it ended up turning out that it could expire, meaning that I never got to use that, meaning that Nintendo basically ripped me off, as I was interested in maybe using it at some point on a game I'd be more interested later on down the road when a game I wanted came out. I mean, that would have been a good thing to use on, like, Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, but now I can't because it expired. I'm still disappointed in Nintendo for giving those an expiration date. That's probably one of my most disappointing purchases ever. Like, it seemed like such a good bargain at the time. But yeah, I mean, Cuphead, I had a pretty good time with that game. I don't think I ever bothered to buy the Delicious Last Course. I wonder if any of you guys would be interested if I ever did that game. But yeah, plenty of other decent games I live streamed. I know, yeah, Pac-Man 99 at some point. Some pretty good stuff there. But yeah, lots of directions this channel has gone in over the years. Good old Super... Okay, it was this point that me and Alpuka first made the Discord server for the channel. Roughly 5 years ago. So my Discord server's been around for 5 years. I also know that throughout my time in college, because I was looking for back doors to still procrastinate, I think that was also around when I started using Twitch, which eventually encouraged me to start using research. Oh, I meant to switch to this tab. Whoops. I'm going to have to do all this scrolling again just to get back to where we were. But Yeah, there was a point where, because I was interested in Twitch with all the friends I was making on there, the online friends from like various VTubers, to of course eventually from my interest in Metroid, meeting my buddy Dr. Socrates, which nowadays I'd consider a very good friend that we have weekly movie nights with. But yeah, it all started with finding him after being pretty big into Metroid at the time. That I ended up finding his channel, sticking around, and that was a good time. Yeah, as you can see, throughout all these years, I've always been keeping at it with Toho Project. Again, I still consider it the series that saved the channel and basically the longest running series of games I've been playing on the channel. And I think is what really encouraged me to start getting into hard games. Because I know there was also eventually a point here where I got into Hollow Knight. Oh yeah, this was around when Metroid Dread came out. And actually, I was more towards my third year. I think I'm falling behind on these. And then, oh yeah, this was also around when I got into the Epic Battle Fantasy series, because I was big into the Flash games, while Flash was still around. But this was like the last, I think this was when Flash was roughly dying, but I got real big into the Epic Battle Fantasy franchise, which, for as simple of an RPG series as it is, knowing that it started out as a simple Flash game, by the third game, those games started getting really good, and to this day, I'd say it was a really good RPG series, and I still gotta play the fifth game on the channel. And yeah, this is when I was really struggling in college. There was getting to be a point where I was getting kind of tired of things, and oh yeah, Age of Calamity, and yeah, I was playing Epic Battle Fantasy 2 like after Flash ended, so I was more of having to use emulation at the time, but I mean, the fact that the Flash site still got things to work was nice. Oh yeah, Project Doors. This was, I think, an idea I had back around when I was trying to become a VTuber, and again, it kind of added up to things not working out. That this whole idea ended up canceled, as it was based on some ideas on like an ongoing plot I had on the channel of like my infiltration of like the VTuber dad escape. Never really got to fruition because I never really properly became a VTuber. It was still a decent attempt though, for what it was. But yeah, I think I'm still keeping at it with the Metroid series, Epic Battle Fantasy. Plenty of good games here that I've played over the years on the channel. So yeah, all good stuff. All good stuff. And yeah, I remember this. I attempted to play Jackbox on the channel and ended up having to delete the second half of this stream. That I ended up having to restart after a power issue, in which I ended up having to delete the second half of that stream due to some rude individuals participating in the games I had open. Would have made those games Twitch exclusive, but at the same time, some of my friends that wanted to play didn't have Twitch. So I didn't really have much of a way I could help them there. But yeah, and then I was reaching the point where I was roughly nearing 100% in Breath of the Wild on hard mode. Man, the fact that I actually went for 100% in that game is impressive. Like, I guess it just shows how I didn't have a whole lot of games to play at the time, so I was really dedicated to the games I was in the middle of, that I was willing to live stream the games I was really enjoying, and then, ooh, we'll get to Hollow Knight in a little bit. But yeah, going back to the channel, it was mostly just recording a bunch of videos and uploading them. This was around when I was starting to... Oh, yeah, I remember this now, because I was having such a hard time with Touhou 11, because that's like one of the hardest games for normal. It has one of the hardest normal modes. And as someone who's used to playing those games on normal mode, that was a challenging game. And there was a point where I don't think I was able to properly finish it in regular videos. Because I think there was eventually a point where I eventually live streamed me beating those games. Oh man, 4 years ago that I first reached 100 subscribers on the channel, and only recently have I actually managed to reach 300 subscribers. Reflecting on it like that, I want to just take a moment to thank everyone who has supported me up to this point. And for those of you who are new, well, welcome to the channel. But yeah, a lot of Metroid. And this was around when I was getting into... So what happened was, I think, yeah, I took a break from Touhou 11 before live streaming, finishing the normal mode. And I actually started playing some of the the old PC 98 Touhou games. Took a bit of setting up some emulators, but I was able to get it to work. Yeah, this is around when I canceled my playthrough of Xenoblade Chronicles. And then, this was also around... Okay, this... So I think I went a little bit too far ahead on the live streams. This is around when I was at my 3rd year of college on the channel. When I was doing Epic Battle Fantasy 3, the retro Touhou games, and mostly just catching up on all the 2D Metroid games. Like, I think there was a point where, when seeing that Metroid Dread was coming out soon, I was basically speedrunning to finish all the 2D Metroid games. And, oh yeah, this was around when Chapter 2 of Deltarune came out. Oh man, this was so much fun. Yeah, because I was going all out with the 2D Metroid games in preparation for Metroid Dread. Yeah, I think I took a break on uploading Deltarune videos just so I could be ready for the Friday streaming that I would first stream Metroid Dread. But yeah, this was it. Oh yeah, I remember playing this Quarter Guy fan game because I am pretty big into the Quarter Guy and his content. So this was a pretty fun little fan game that I tried out. And also, with the guy who created it, I don't know where he is nowadays, but I don't think he really makes games very much these days, but actually, got to be in the game when offering a little something, so that was fun. And then, yeah, more... It was back to streaming more 2D Metroid content on the channel. So Touhou, Epic Battle Fantasy, and the 2D Metroid games. That's all I was mainly doing during this era of the channel. And, oh man, it took so much work getting the 3DS emulator to work for this. So I think this was back before I even had my Xbox controller. Which led to me having to emulate a lot of the games I was playing, and I was having to play them using my keyboard, and I would not recommend doing that. That was not fun. That was not fun to have to work with. Nonetheless, I was somehow able to at least finish that game. It was very uncomfortable not having full D-pad controls, though. Then... Oh yeah, this was around when I attempted to emulate the Metroid Prime trilogy, and that emulation did not work at all, which... Oh, man. Yeah, things didn't really work out with trying to emulate Metroid Prime. There was a point where I just ended up canceling that playthrough, I think, because I was just getting so bored of it. I mean, I do have an actual physical copy of the game now that if we ever wanted to return to the Metroid Prime trilogy, we could do that at some point. Man, I still got my Wii U up here that I could give that a shot. Oh yeah, Sunstaff. I think this was a game that one of my real life friends helped make. So I wanted to see if I could help promote the game by uploading a video of me playing it on the channel. And yeah, that was around when things fell apart in college. So yeah, looking at the live streaming, because I remember doing a lot of good live streaming during that era on the channel. Because this is around when I started doing Hollow Knight. And man, Hollow Knight, what an era that was. Because Hollow Knight, that ended up becoming like one of my favorite video games. Outside of Deep Nest, which still triggers my arachnophobia. It's like one of the primary reasons I'll never see myself returning to that game. Nonetheless, I ended up being a lot more dedicated to that game than I expected. Like, I basically got every achievement and did nearly everything there was to do in the game. I remember the only thing I couldn't beat in that game was the Pantheon of Hallownest with all 4 bindings at once. While I could handle it with each binding individually and just barely managed to beat the first 4 Pantheons with all bindings at once, I ended up finding the Collector just a bit too unfair. I didn't quite have it in me to beat it. Oh yeah, I ended up doing Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap after having a bit of a sick day that day. Oh yeah. I remember there was a point here also during one of my Hollow Knight playthroughs where I also attempted to do a 100 mission attempt on We Play Tanks. And then, yes, over 3 years ago I had attempted Dark Souls, getting into the big leagues. So first off, looking at some more videos here, I think we're approaching the era of the channel where I eventually started losing interest in content creation. I mean, there was still a bit of stuff here. Oh yeah, there was Jedi kind of encouraged me to do another playthrough of Undertale. I think he just was interested in watching me look into a lot of details I never knew existed back in my previous playthrough. Because I know it was around when I was up to Toho 12 here that I just started to lose interest in content creation. That there was a point here where I just began losing interest in making content roughly 3 years ago. That there was a point where I had decided to go all out with live streaming. I'm not entirely sure exactly when that happened, but well, yeah, I attempted Splatoon 3, and I think that playthrough got canceled. Yeah, it was around here that, around 2023, that, wow, roughly 3 years ago, that I eventually got tired of regular videos and realized I was enjoying Friday streaming a lot more. That there was a point here where I eventually just started to go all out with live streaming. That nowadays on the channel I'm more of a live streamer than I am with like making content. Nonetheless, yeah, I think there was a point here where another reason why I gave up on the Pantheon of Hallownest with all 4 bindings was because I had finally started to really build up my collection of Steam games. To the point that I had so many games to play. Like, you know, I tried a bit of Jump King and that could... Oh yeah, Katana Zero. I know that's... Normally I like to play family-friendly games on the channel, but that one's kind of the exception, because despite that one having excessive swearing, like, that was a really good game. for what it was. That honestly, I'd be down to stream the DLC when it comes out. Might have to put a warning on that or something, though. But yes, so many good games during this era of the channel. Dust and Elysian Tale. Again, I started getting into Dark Souls. Because it was sort of technically my second playthrough, because my first run of the game was at the gaming society that they had at the university, as they did have the original game for Xbox 360. I was basically really bad at the game at the time. Like, basically a lot of the issues you'd probably see any newcomer to Dark Souls make. But yeah, after things didn't work out in at the university, I wanted to give this game a proper chance, and I think there was a really good deal on Dark Souls, the Switch port of Dark Souls Remastered, which technically wasn't properly the remastered because due to hardware limitations, most of the graphics were the graphics from the original game rather than the remastered graphics. So, well, it might have some remastered graphics. I'm not sure which ones there were, but it technically wasn't actually the remastered version. It was basically... They honestly should have just ported the Prepare to Die edition, which was basically, from what I remember, the name of the PC port of the original game. Yeah, the ports of Dark Souls are complicated. But yeah, oh yeah, this is also when I played Celeste, Hades. This was a really good era of the channel, and again, I think this was when I was just satisfied with the games I was playing on the channel, because there were so many good games I had gotten off the Steam Summer Sale. And again, I think this was maybe around when I was satisfied with the direction the channel was going. Eventually going all out with the live stream. Well, this was still when it was just Friday streaming, actually, so I guess we're not quite there yet. But again, with all the games I had and was playing, I was quite satisfied with where the channel was. Oh yeah, Little Witch No Betta. I'm very excited for when the sequel to that game comes out. I think it's like going to be called Flame Witch Fran. Yeah, that was a fun game. But yeah, definitely... This was around the point where I was... Yeah, it was around here that I really started to go all out with live streaming. Like, you'll see here that there were lots of things going on here. And also when I started to have that idea of doing challenge streams where basically I didn't quite have the challenge streams yet, but I had tried to mix in my college studies with my live streams. It kind of led to just me procrastinating with stuff like undercards back when my friends tried to get me into that. And yeah, this was around when I started to do the challenge streams of trying to do some college assignments. Every time I lose at a hard game. And then, probably one of my favorite moments on the channel, my Spyro Marathon. This was, I think, the moment where my sister gifted me my first Xbox controller that works with the PC. So I need a lot of emulators for doing this. The Spyro Marathon, probably one of my favorite things I've done on the channel. Like, one of them. Maybe not the best thing I've done on the channel, but basically it was as someone who's been a lifelong Spyro fan, I basically went all out with trying to play not just play, but 100% every Spyro game known to exist. And including some of the obscure and bad ones. And basically one of the motivators was just to see how much of a downgrade the Japanese version of the original Spyro the Dragon was. Because I heard quite a few changes was made to that version that just ultimately ruined the experience. And maybe one of the reasons it wasn't too bad for me was because I already knew where everything was from my lifetime of experience playing Spyro. Um, but there were definitely some annoying moments due to how much of a downgrade it was with some of the changes made. But yeah, so many good games during this era, alongside the Spyro Marathon, where I was playing all these Spyro games. And ooh, Miitopia. This was another really good game I played for the channel. Because I was initially just having like a bunch of Toho characters, and while I found some shared Miis that had those Toho characters, it basically evolved into me just having Miis of maybe some joke options here and there, but mostly Miis from games that I had played throughout the channel, with maybe some exceptions. Yeah, there were so many me. I had such a fun time with my playthrough of Miitopia on the channel. Even if my offline grind to go for every single medal was a bit on the rough side, especially when you don't even get a reward for getting every medal in the game. Nonetheless, this is also a big memory for me on the channel, mainly because it was from playing this game for the channel that I ended up meeting Jackie, which is a very good thing looking back on it, because I think back at this time, I initially wasn't too interested in getting the Switch remake of Miitopia, since I had already gotten every medal in the original 3DS version of Miitopia. I think I only ended up getting it because I think there was like the Christmas of this particular year, that Grandma wanted to gift me a game. And of all the Switch games that I was looking at that was available at the time, Miitopia was the one that looked the most appealing. So I decided, hey, why not make a bunch of Toho-related Miis for the channel? And it evolved into something that was absolutely amazing, and is some of my favorite moments on the channel. I had such a fun time with Miitopia, even if the grind to 100% was a bit too much and unsatisfying. Oh yeah, this was also when back when I did my first playthrough of Elden Ring, but then eventually stopped once I had the opportunity to borrow my brother's PS4 to play Bloodborne, in which I sort of, because I was playing in my first playthrough of Elden Ring, I was playing really badly, that I basically ended up deciding that I wanted to play all the other Soulsborns by From Software before returning to Elden Ring, in which, here we are full circle. If you guys know nowadays, I have recently returned to Elden Ring, mainly because I thought it would be a good game to do for a challenge stream, to get me to work on some job searching. But I mean, it worked, for what it's worth. So yeah, I got to do some Bloodborne, and thanks to some helps from others, that I was able to become a bit overpowered from a chalice dungeon that let you get loads of blood echoes real quickly. I ended up getting through this game quickly before what I thought was going to be my brother giving away his PS4 to a friend, only for them to never pick it up. And oh yeah, I was interested in having it be a yearly thing, that every 4th of July I'd play Fanavision, because it's a game themed around fireworks, and people like setting off fireworks a lot on 4th of July. That never really happened. If I were to ever do another Fanavision stream, I'd be interested in maybe checking out a Japanese exclusive sequel called, like, I think Futari no Fanavision. I'd be interested in checking that out at some point, but yeah, this was a good era of the channel, for sure. Okay, so more More Toho, more Soulsborne. Oh yeah, I remember playing Rabby Reeby. I forget, was that game getting a sequel at some point? I forgot if there were any announcements for that, but yeah, still keeping at it with Spyro. Oh yeah, because there was a point where I was really starting to get addicted to Dark Souls that I ended up doing a new game plus 7 run just to show just how much I mastered the game compared to back when I did that first playthrough earlier. That was not that great. Oh yeah, I also did videos of the Spyro McDonald's games. Very not that great quality of recordings, I'll admit. Like I get a lot of comments complaining about the poor quality in this particular video where I did game 4. I think that particular day it was just that I was just in a very uncomfortable position recording these, and considering that this game didn't work that well, I didn't have it in me to do another take. I think there was a point in like I think the live stream where I was doing the Spyro Flash games where maybe I went back to like some of these games that I didn't properly finish, but to this day, I guess I technically never properly finished this one, mainly because I couldn't. Because this was like my second copy of the game I tried to order off Amazon, and they just didn't seem to want to work. Oh yeah, an Undead Dragon. Oh yeah, I did also at some point do a playthrough of Pizza Tower. Not sure when I did that. Okay, yeah, Pizza Tower. Well, last stream of probably like 2023. Yeah, Pizza Tower was fun. And then, oh, I did a 200 subscribers. Oh yeah, I did. I mainly just did some CTGP Revolution, a pretty good mod for Mario Kart Wii that adds a bunch of custom tracks to the game. Oh yeah, that's that point. Yeah, we'll get to this in a bit, I guess. But seems like roughly, yeah. Wow, I think it was back in 2024 that I finished college. This will probably go to 2 years in a little bit. But it's been roughly 2 years ago now that I finished college. Yeah, most of the videos you see at this point on in recent years on the channel is less dedicated to specific games outside of like when I wanted to post a small bit of like highlights towards something that I didn't feel worth doing an entire live stream on, but still wanted to add to various playthroughs of games. So just like my reaction to the release trailer of Silk Song, or my reaction to Doc's complaints about my performance in one when I played Tunic without him. So in a way, I guess I still sometimes upload videos to YouTube, but definitely compared to when I used to do entire games off videos, I definitely focus, entire games towards live streaming. But yeah, I think there was a point here where I wanted to focus all out with. Oh no, I think I was initially really wanting to focus all out with the Spyro Marathon in anticipation for if a new Spyro game was going to be announced that year. And then, the whole Activision Blizzard layoffs happened after they were acquired by Microsoft, and I ended up deciding to take a bit of a break from the Spyro Marathon in honor of those that had been fired. Man, it's still a shame that that happened, like, roughly 2 years ago as well. And to this day, we still haven't gotten any announcements on a new Spyro game. I mean, I'm still optimistic that we will get a new Spyro game eventually. And I've been keeping up with Canadian guy A's videos to know that there's loads of evidence proving that Toys for Bob is working on a new Spyro game as we speak. Or as of the recording of this. Maybe by now it's finally out. But I know for a fact we're eventually going to get a new Spyro game. And I, for one, am very excited. Yeah, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. And then, of course, good old Tears of the Kingdom. Now, again, because at this point I had such a large collection of Steam games to play, I didn't quite have it in me to 100% this game. Like, even now, that's still something I'd kind of mainly just be doing a bit of offline. I did still do my best to do all the story-related content in this game. But yeah, I took a bit of a break from the Spyro Marathon, and I think I eventually returned to it here, uh, just to make sure I was able to finish the marathon before I was finished with college. Because by that point, I knew I'd be having to go all out with job searching to make sure, I had a job that was in my career path. Here's when I did the 200 subscriber special. So yeah, and then we eventually reached a point here where we eventually finished the Spyro Marathon, which was quite the achievement. I will say, though, there is a way we could technically end up returning to, there is a way we could end up starting back up the Spyro Marathon despite technically finishing it over a year ago. Because what we could do, there were some Nokia Spyro games that didn't quite work on the emulator. A couple of them I've actually managed to get working now. That we could return to that if we wanted to start back up the Spyro Marathon. There is still maybe one I can't quite get to work, though that's mainly due to the possibility it could still be lost media. Nonetheless, another thing that could be a good motivator to return to the Spyro Marathon at some point is that we never played any of the Skylanders games. Mainly because at the time I didn't think there was any good way to emulate it, considering how the Skylanders games work. Combined with the fact that I don't really consider Skylanders to be a Spyro game. Because ultimately, the most Spyro is involved with that game is his name being on the title of the first game, and the fact that Spyro's a playable character. Other than that, Spyro's not really... He might be the face of Skylanders that Toys for Bob used, but ultimately, Skylanders just never felt like Spyro's game to me. Though I did learn that Toys for Bob was interested in calling it like Spyro's Kingdom at some point. But I don't know, the game just never felt like Spyro to me. So I guess for those who do consider Skylanders to be part of the Spyro franchise, that'd be another good motivator, because I did hear for at least the console Spyro games, there's some emulators you can use to have all the Skylanders. So that is something we could do if we wanted to start back up the Spyro Marathon, is get to those Nokia games I missed, as well as, get into the console Skylanders games. The only problem then is that I'd have no way to emulate the 3DS Skylanders games, because while it might be possible the ROMs exist somewhere, I don't think there's going to be any way I don't think anyone has set up anything similar to the console games yet where, it's possible for any Skylanders to work with the emulations, unfortunately. So I don't think that would really work for the channel. So I'd maybe be able to 100% all the console Skylanders games, but as far as I'm aware as of this recording, there's no way to properly emulate the 3DS Skylanders games, which is, I think, one of the main reasons why I haven't been too eager to return to the Spyro Marathon just yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is when I attempted the DLC chapter of Celeste. And, oh yes, Demon Souls. Which, as you guys can probably tell, was the last time I did a live stream with my phone cam recording. I think this was just a point where, because I don't really take the channel seriously anymore, I was just, nowadays I'm kind of just okay if I need to do phone camera recording, which I think I only did it for Demon Souls, is because apparently there's some HTCP thing that prevents capture cards from working with PS3 consoles. And yeah, that's what I had access to, similar to being able to borrow my brother's PS4. I was able to borrow his PS3 to be able to finish, to play Demon's Souls, which was quite a challenge to get working properly. And I tried a variety of things, from emulation to trying a variety of things, from like buying like a splitter that ended up not working, because apparently some splitters don't work and some do. So I didn't want to go wasting a bunch of money just to get some decent footage for one game. Other than that, yeah, lots of good games on the channel, and believe me, there's more good games to come here about Rogue Legacy. And, oh yeah, because I remember I was gonna start up Dark Souls 3, and then that's when I ended up getting my hands on my copy of Demon Souls and wanted to play that while I was able to borrow my brother's PS3. And then I returned to Dark Souls 3. And I think this was around when I started the job I currently have now in my career, because I ended up doing like something special here where I did like some all-nighter streams to try and adjust my sleep schedule to my new job. Oh yeah, this is around when I was also playing some of the spin-off Toho games, which I think I'm just not quite enjoying as much as the mainline Toho games, which is why after Freezing Time went on a bit of a hiatus from the channel, that I ended up... currently I'm kind of taking a bit of a break from Toho. I'm certain I'll return to it at some point, because I have a couple fan games I have in my Steam collection that I'm interested in playing at some point. Oh yes, chapters 3 and 4 of Delta, and that was great. And then 11 months ago, when I started getting into the Castlevania franchise. I mainly tried getting into the franchise because me and Doc watched the Castlevania Netflix series for movie night. It's a bit of a mature series, though, so viewer discretion is advised there. But I ended up trying out some of the games, because I also got the Castlevania Anniversary Collection for free off Epic Games, because Epic Games has that free Game of the Week thing. I'm pretty sure it's the only reason some people use Steam. Oh yeah, and then I was recommended Salt and Sanctuary at one point, which is a pretty good 2D Souls-like. But yeah, I've been getting into the Castlevania franchise, and then, ooh, Silk Song. This was a game I was very excited for, and oh yeah, I attempted to do some Cult of the Lamb with Doc. We never finished that game. I wonder if Doc would ever be interested in finishing that game. I think maybe just to speed things up a little, considering how rarely we play this game, I might consider the idea of playing on like normal mode, just so we can have a quicker time getting through that game. If he's interested, anyway. But yeah, still some great games here. Yeah, there was a point where I did Bullet Heaven 2, so things are open for whenever I want to be ready to go and finish off the Epic Battle Fantasy franchise with Epic Battle Fantasy 5. That's a game I'm excited to play on the channel at some point. Yeah, still a lot of games I'm excited to play on the channel. Whether it be sequels to games I've been enjoying or games I'm interested in playing, I can guarantee you guys there are still many good games to come on the channel. I'll admit nowadays with my current job it's been difficult to find opportunities to live stream due to my job always leaving me tired after I'm done working and just throwing my sleep schedule all over the place, that I get, despite it only being a part-time job, it always feels like I get barely any free time to myself these days. Ugh. Hopefully later on in my career I get a full-time position where I at least feel like I have a bit more control over my sleep schedule. Because with where things are right now, it's like very unbalanced. And oh yeah, I also tried the Pac-Man World repack, as I never got to play the original game, but absolutely loved Pac-Man World 2 growing up. Which I'm excited to at some point get Pac-Man World 2. Oh yeah, playing Tunic. Yeah, recently I lost a bet to Doc on one of our movie nights that I now have to play that game. So we're kind of now reaching the point where I'm about caught up on the games I'm kind of in the middle of right now, which is Tunic, Elden Ring with the job searching that I do alongside it, and of course where we currently are in the Castlevania games. I recently played Rondo of Blood, and next time I'll be playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night at some point. So now we're... Oh yeah, I also recently started up Salt and Sacrifice. So that's about where we are now on the channel. All these years, all these games we've played together. To reflect on all of it, I know some of you have probably not been too interested in reflecting on all these games. But I'm able to look back and see how... I'd say the overall quality of the games, of the content I do, hasn't changed too much outside of some small tweaks here and there with like maybe OBS or a few things. But in terms of the friends I've made along the way and just all the games I've gotten to play on the channel, I'm quite satisfied with what I got here. And seeing how this channel has caused me to make some pretty good friends along the way. Even if my channel doesn't go anywhere throughout its entire lifespan, I'm quite satisfied to where it is right now. And, you know, even if it doesn't get any bigger than this, in which I'm quite satisfied that I've stuck around for a good 10 years. And again, there'll be plenty more to come from me, and regardless, it is still nice to see some of the milestones I have reached, in which we have recently reached 300 subscribers on the channel. So 10 years, and I have reached 300 subscribers. That might not be that big of an amount, but it does mean the world to me to know that there is some people out there that get some enjoyment out of what I do here. No matter how strange it is when it's like mostly just for me most of the time, with like encouraging me to job search or something. It's had a big impact on my life. Because honestly, I wonder where I'd be nowadays if I didn't make this channel and just, when it came to video games, just played them. What kind of games would I be playing nowadays? Would I still be playing the hard games I do? Would Dark Souls have just been inevitable no matter what? Really, I don't know where I'd be. Regardless, I'm happy where things ended up, and to celebrate recently reaching 300 subscribers, I've already mentioned this on my 300 subscriber milestone video, but recently, to celebrate reaching 300 subscribers, I've been working to set up a D&D campaign on the channel. So to those who have been in the community for a while, I've been reaching out to send some invitations to where me and all the amazing friends that I've made along the way on my journey on the internet can join me in an epic D&D campaign. Mainly as a means of giving the opportunity to those who have maybe never gotten the chance to play D&D that opportunity. So it's mainly going to be something that's going to be beginner friendly, and maybe as a bonus, if possible, throw in some references to all these games I've played on the channel. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, as long as I at least have the D&D campaign, even if it's a bland one, I'll be satisfied because I got to play it with my friends that I have made over the years. Also, I might think about returning to Toho at some point because I know recently Freezing Time and my other Toho buddies have recently returned from their hiatus. Not sure when I'll get to that though, because again, currently it's been difficult to find live streaming opportunities with how much work has been leaving me tired outside of the job. I guess we'll just see how it goes. But regardless, I do still enjoy live streaming, and I enjoy spending time with my online friends. So I can guarantee you all, I am going to keep at it with this channel, even if I can't stream as often as I used to. Especially if my career, depending on where it goes, continues to make things difficult. Regardless, thank you very much for watching this and being able to reflect on these past 10 years with me and all these amazing games that I have played on the channel. I know not every game here might be one that interests you. I know when it comes to live streaming for me and the channels I follow, sometimes I only stick around for the games I'm interested in. Regardless, if you do just pass by to watch a game you like, I thank you for stopping by in the first place. And if you have stuck around and become a good friend of mine, thank you very much. And I very much look forward to seeing what games I may continue to play in the next years. The next 10 years. Let's see if we can go for another 10 years. And then once we get to 20 years, maybe I'll do another reflection of all the games I've done on the channel. It's just nice to see how far the channel has come since then. That being said, though, thank you everyone for watching. I know I've been saying thank you a lot, but this just means a lot to me. So, until the next live stream, this is the Gamer of Gamers, and stay excellent, everyone.